The NASCAR season might be over, but there is still plenty to discuss. Tonight, we react to championship weekend, hand out our 2024 awards, and give you our top 7 NASCAR betting lessons learned this year. All this and more, it's the Backroad coming right at you.
It's a non-points race, but it is a short race. Checkered flag. That's all this race is.
Stay from the stage.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Thursday night to you. Welcome to the Backroad. It's in between media's NASCAR betting show. My name's Elliot Hicks. With me is Seth Woolcock. Not much to bet this week. The season's ended. We wrapped up the season at Phoenix last week, and man, what a season it was. It's been a great time here on the Backroad this year.
Absolutely. I mean, look, guys, we began handicapping this 2024 NASCAR season all the way back in January of last year. That's 11 months ago, and I could have never imagined the ride we were about to go on. Not only was the racing awesome, and Ellie, you and I have been watching NASCAR in some shape or form since before we could poop on a pot. You know what I mean? And the memories that we made right here on the channel, the new friends we met along the way, it's been unbelievable. We got to cover 2 races in person this past year, and plenty of stories from those races, Elliot, on and off the track. And yeah, I gotta say, man, it's been such a great race. And yeah, we like to tip a few back here and have fun on the program, but at the same time, we're learning, we're growing as gamblers along the way. So this sport, it's become such a big part of my life. I think your life as well. And I'm just grateful for the ride, my friend. Yeah,
no doubt about it. And that's the beauty of this show every week is we lay the stats out, we lay the bets out, but also lay down a cold one, have a good time, and have some fun with the IBT family. And shout out to all you for tuning in also. I know there's no money to be made this week. There are some championship futures out there, but we're not going to touch on those just yet. It's still a little early, even for the way too early. But tonight we will talk about the championship 4, talk about our successes there. We'll have a little bit of our fun, go through NASCAR season awards, kind of break things down, how they went this year. And then we'll give you some of our betting strategies that we've learned. We've got 7 tips for you that will, they're tiers, but they're not quite tiers. That's how we're going to market them. But again, shout out to you guys. Last week we mentioned on the show about a postseason survey that we have up that also will enter you into our giveaways, which we can talk about later. But we want to know what you guys think of the show. We want to, we want to know what works, what doesn't work. What do you want to see? What do you like the most? What do you like the least? Just every little thing. We want your opinion. We care about your opinion, and we want you to keep watching. So we want to make the show the best we can for you guys.
Absolutely. We're working on developing some new tools, talking about different shows we could do as well. And your guys' feedback is really going to shape that. So right in the episode description, I think it's the bottom link in there right above our Twitter handles. It is our survey. Please go fill that out. Elliot, you got some sweet fucking gifts you're going to give out too. And it's really going to, I know, I see the numbers. I see the returning viewers on this show. It's the same damn people watching it every week. So if you guys can help us out, please complete that survey. Not only are you going to help shape the future of the IBT NASCAR content, but Elliot, I think you got some pretty freaking sweet die casts as well.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We can, we'll push that a little later if we want to, but maybe because it's at the bottom of the description there, maybe that's why people didn't find it there. Maybe we were looking to find it. We'll have to bump that up. We'll have to tweet that out a little bit too and get that rolling.
Yeah, 100%. Looks like we got Marcus already in the chat, and he's already got a 2025 winner. Who do you think it is, my friend?
Shocker there. And hey, it wouldn't be a surprise. He's probably toward the favorites of those early championship favorites that we got here.
They're short. They are short at the top of the board. Yeah. Have fun paying 6-1, Marcus, but good to see you. Have a merry off season and happy Christmas. Quote from Chase Elliott there. Kush hanging out with us as well. Good to see you, Kush. And Travis saying Logano bettors, we up. Elliot, I think we can start right there. I think we can jump into it because yes, Logano bettors, we are up. And you are up, and everyone looks like Travis is up as well.
No doubt about it. Without further ado, let's take one last look back in the rear view at the 2024 season with the Phoenix Championship weekend. So yeah, once again, we're going to start in the Cup Series here with the Cup Series Championship. Seth, I tell you what, before Daytona, we're going through the Daytona bets. I got paid, I think, the Friday before the 500. So that's when I put out my pre-500 bets. First bet I placed, the first one, even before my dumbass put a little bit on Bowman for the title, was Joey Logano for the 2024 championship. Even year devil magic, Logano magic, a guy who's good enough to get it done. Doubled down on it with you in the summer on Bet365 at longer odds than I had.
What were both those odds?
12-1 pre-Daytona and 16-1 in the summer.
Wow.
I think it was just after he'd won Nashville. And man, I tell you what, I've almost never been more excited to watch a finish of a race than to see both of those hit after riding them all year. Of course, there were a lot of other bets in there. You go percentage-wise, low percentage of those hit. But when you get the big money bets hitting in multiple series this weekend, man, oh man, it was exciting. Even though there's all the qualms about should Logano win the champion, should the playoff format be revitalized or whatever, I didn't give a single fuck about that because Logano won me a good percentage, we'll just say.
You had a good weekend, man. And listen, I was hurting a little bit. I was licking my wounds because as you were riding Logano pretty heavy all year, I've been on Blaney. He was kind of my guy. I accidentally bet him back in Phoenix in the spring, and I kind of just kept riding that 12-1 ticket. I did hedge a little bit with Logano, and I was thinking of you when he won, so I was happy for the team because the team Rod was also on him. So IBT as a whole. And we said it like Penske or die last week. That was pretty much the messaging here. It was, at least for me, it was like Penske's going to win this race. I think it's Blaney. I think he's going to have the best car. I think he's going to be the fastest, which he was, of course. But Logano, he put himself in the right place, the right time, and say what you want about it. But I even think right after Bowman got eliminated there on that technicality that I said Logano's just going to win now. It's just. So yeah, but honestly, like I'm kind of sick of the internet right now, especially the NASCAR internet specifically, because like this guy is awesome, this team is awesome, Paul Wolf is awesome. They put themselves in a position to win. Everybody knows the fucking format. Say what you want about it. I think it's awesome. I'm one of like the 30%. They're like, hey, I'm cool with just riding out how it is right now. I think you can always make little tweaks, but Joey Logano deserves his flowers and a hell of a season for him in the 2020 or 22 team here. Yeah,
no doubt about it. And I know that motorsports is not stick and ball sports. I know they're totally different, but I've said this before and I'll say it again. Rarely, if ever, does the best team throughout the year win the championship in all other sports. So it doesn't happen in NASCAR either. And with Logano too, I understand his season wasn't great. He got really lucky in a lot of ways, which we'll also touch on later. But this team has just nailed down this format perfectly. He's won 3 titles in this format. It's no different than a team like Jimmy Johnson back in the 10-race chase. They'd get their win. They'd put themselves in a good point spot. By June, mid-June, late June, they'd be pretty damn well locked into that top 10 in the points. They'll have to have a win or two in their pocket. And Chad Knaus has said this before. They would then use that late summer and experiment with things and see, I wonder if this is going to work at this type of track that's a comp to one of the chase tracks and that sort of thing. And we saw Jimmy Johnson take home 7 total championships, 1 in this format, 6 in the chase format, including 5 in a row. And people, I mean, we were younger then. The internet was not as prevalent. There weren't as many outlets for people to bitch as there are today. But I didn't hear all this outcry about the playoff format's terrible because Jimmy Johnson won 5 titles in a row. It was holy shit. Look how good Jimmy Johnson is. And that's part of what you have to say about Logano too. Regardless of what you think about the format, it is damn hard to win a title in this format because there's so many different variables. 3 races, or in the case of the championship race, 1 race, you fuck it up even just a little bit and you don't come back from it, completely done. Doesn't matter what you did in the regular season. Larson wins 6 races, doesn't do well enough in the round of 8, gone. To win a championship, let alone 3 in this format, is definitely worthy of some flowers, like you said. And like I said, hate the format, love the format, doesn't matter. You got to give the props to Logano for getting it done 3 times, including 2 of the last 3 years. And Penske too, like you said, Penske or die, they've nailed it down too, 3 for 3 in the next gen.
I think the reason people hate Logano is not only because, his early year stuff or whatever, when he was a youngster. I mean, he was a kid coming up in this sport, which I think has been awesome to kind of just see. I mean, you and I have really seen his entire career. Like I mean,
2008 was the first year that I was really cognizantly paying attention. All 36 races, as a 9 going on to a 10-year-old that year. That was the year Logano made his debut. I remember reading about it in the local newspaper. This 18-year-old phenom, greatest thing since sliced bread, is going to be making his NASCAR debut. and now he's one of the elder statesmen of the sport. Says we're getting old, but also says it's been cool to see his rise.
Well, and the thing about him today is that he's not the fastest driver. He's not the fastest driver. Like Larson, probably the fastest driver on just pure speed.
Yep.
Reddick, Blaney, like these are the guys that people like watching. Logano's good at the weird things, fuel saving, and being aggressive when he has to. Like the move of that race, looking back at it, was that restart where he went from fifth to first. You know what I mean? Yep. He put himself in position where Blaney had to track him down. Blaney had more speed in his car, was better, I think, as a better driver at Phoenix in this day and age as well. And by the time he got to him, he just didn't have the stuff left. He used it all passing Byron and Larson. Phoenix, not the best track to pass, honestly, at this point. Like, yeah. I'd probably rather, that's a whole different discussion. I'd love to see a bunch of different tracks in the championship, but Logano, hats off to him, man. Like, I will say, I'm just happy that, and it's probably partially because you made money, I made a little money off it, and we were on Penske, but I just have not seen enough programs and people on the internet in general this week giving this guy his flowers. So I'm just very happy for him and the entire Logano family and 22 team.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And it wasn't just, I think, that Blaney used up his stuff. It's that Joey Logano might be the best air blocker, especially in this car. Even going back to the last car, I remember a race very well in 2020 where Logano made the championship for, as he has in every single even year, and might have been able to beat Chase Elliott that year. Race that I think it was, I don't remember if it was Kansas or Vegas, whatever that first race of the round of 8 was. I think it was Harvick in second. Feels like way better car, way faster car. Mm-hmm. Could not do anything to get by Logano. This guy just has it, like I said, he has it pat in this format, and he's been able to dominate it.
Yeah, I will say, just to kind of end the championship race discussion with some other notes here. Not a great week for me. I did go down like 5 units, so I did take some shrapnel. But I will say I handicapped the Cup race. I was high on Bell. I thought Bell, Logano, and Blaney were the only guys who could win that race. They pretty much were that. My 2 parlays failed, but it was because on Saturday, Georgia let me down. Fuck you, Kirby Smart. No dogs over here. And also Cole Custer, top 5 on Saturday, also fucked me. Like, he was looking like a top 5 car all day, and then we had that late restart. He went from 4th, got backed up, and then never recovered. So it was tough. It was really tough. But if that hits, if Cole Custer gets me top 5 instead of 8th, what he finished, I'm up 5 units on the weekend. So I'll take it. It is what it is. But yeah. So was anyone else? Shout out Connor Zillich. I know we were on Connor Zillich. Fuck Brandon Jones. Like, we're still on that train. But anyone else that you wanted to shout out from the weekend as well?
Yeah, so that would have hit the top 5 and the matchup over Brandon Jones. I didn't throw anything on
Did
that.
Did he get it? Was Zillich top 5?
Zillich was, I think he finished 4th in the race.
Wow, this kid.
He was up there. And that was,
I knew he was up there. What would you get him at? What was that number? Like a 250 or something? 270 maybe? Something like that?
I have it on my sheet, top 5 plus 450.
Good on. I should have bet it. I didn't
bet it either. I just had it on my sheet here. So that's
okay.
I don't think I have it as a lesson down here on our top 7 betting tips. The additional 8th one is the shit that I actually talk about. I should actually fucking put money on it.
Every time. I don't talk about it unless I've already bet it. That's my role.
That's a role that, like, most people are like, oh, I'm going to talk about stuff I bet. For me, it's just, oh, this looks nice. I'll put money on it later. And then I do 2 of the bets and none of the other bets. And I go back almost every week. There are some weeks it saved me where I've been like, okay, I would have lost a bunch of money. Or some bets that I was like, I definitely wouldn't have bet this. So it would have messed with me. But that's the secret 8th lesson, is actually bet the shit.
Yeah. We'll talk somewhat about that and tracking your profits and what you're wagering each week. Hats off to Gator. We'll talk about that drive, but one of the best drives I've ever seen in the Xfinity Series. Riley Herbst ends up winning that race.
Yeah, he was all set to dump Allgaier there for the win there at the end. Allgaier.
Yeah, that's what he said, and then he's also like all pissed off after the race too. So shout out Riley Herbst, great run for him. I thought SHR would be fast. I just thought it would be Custer and not him. So that's a little off, but.
No, damn Leland Honeyman too. That's twice in the playoffs where he's had to be the story with the late incident. The Roval burying in the barriers there.
Come on, Leland. We got
Honeyman, shout out to Low Gator. I also was on that outright from the summer. Only at a 4-1 though, but still got me a little coin there. And shout out to Ty Majeski, And I wish my end finger cash out would have stayed a little longer throughout the week. I probably would have taken it, but I wasn't on Majeski at all. I mean, even Thursday, I figured Eckes and Heim have been most consistent, and if not, then it's end finger with the momentum. It sure as shit was a Majeski for me, so props to him.
Yeah, Rod handicapped that one well. He was on Majeski from early in the week, so shout out to our guy Hot Rod for being that. I mean, when it comes to trucks, like my default's just gotta turn to like just tail Rod, just tail Rod, because like he's gonna hit some gainers out there. He had that 80-1 earlier this season on Raja, so yeah, lesson learned there as well. TK, what's up, TK? Good to see you, brother. Hopefully Zilich odds won't be terrible all year next year.
But I think they will be.
Comparing them to like how SVGs were on road course. Whenever he opens up for the title or for his season win total, just bet it. I think that's going to be on everyone's card. But hopefully it's not crazy because I could see it. Are we going to wake up on Christmas morning and we're going to get some Xfinity Series title odds? And I think Connor Zilich is going to be the favorite or some shit. It's going to be him, and if Gator's back in the 7, it's going to be them, right?
Yeah, I mean, you may see Zilich even at like 6-1 for the title. Dare I say?
I could see a 4 or 5 ripping out.
I think that because he doesn't have the full season behind his belt that you'll get it, but it's only going to be at the beginning of the year because he's going to win one of the first 5 races of the year, and then it's going to be down all year. He'll be arguably the dominant driver if JRM is anywhere near as good as they have been lately.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be quite SVG on road course. I don't think you're going to see a week where, maybe Zilich on road courses. I don't think you'll see like a -105 outright or anything, but it could happen. Especially because SVG probably leaving Xfinity in the dust. The Cup cars are way more similar to the supercars. So
yeah, we'll talk about that later. Drinking the juice. Sometimes you gotta do it. But shout out Ty Majeski, and puts on a good fuck you to NASCAR a little bit as well for finding him 12 G's. And apparently they didn't know he was voting, so maybe that will get redacted. I would hope so. But yeah, awesome weekend. Anything else from you that we haven't really touched on here? I'm kind of ready to close the book on Phoenix there.
Yeah, I mean, it was just great to see my personal best week of the year come right at the end of the year.
Proud of you, man. Yeah, good
off season.
And you handicapped that well. You were on Penske with me, and you called out Gator for Xfinity as well. So yeah, great rip on that. What do you say here? Should we get some awards?
Yeah. So tonight we're going to go through some of our season superlatives, season awards. And we got to start. Joey Logano is the first name on this list here for the Bettors MVP. So Logano, he sure shit was my MVP. I don't know about that, but won the championship, 4 wins on the year, which that, stack him up in the playoffs. Didn't really think about that.
His season win total, 1.5. 1.5. So thank you, Joey Logano, to cash that for us as well. So yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely an MVP type deal. Only 7 top 5s, 13 top 10s on the year. And the stat that everyone's been talking about, the lowest average finish for a Cup champion, I think ever, or at least in the modern era, down at 17.1. But regardless, because he's been clutch, he's personally my MVP. I know we got some good nominees on this list as well.
Yeah. Kyle Larson.
Do we want to go one by one, or do we want to go? I can read the whole list.
Go ahead. Yeah. Introduce the nominees here. We got quite a few of them.
Makes sense.
But Joey Logano, got to have a little love for that guy. I appreciate what he's done for us.
Of course, yeah. So live television, everybody. But yeah, our other nominees: Kyle Larson. How could he not be the MVP? Most wins in the Cup Series at 6, 15 top 5s, 18 top 10s, 12.9 average finish. Larson led just a hair under 1,700 laps this year.
That was like 200 or 300 more than the next person, wasn't it? It was. I
mean, he kind of got helped by that. Bristol short track, he led a bunch of laps, led a whole lot at Darlington. He just had some more races than anybody else, as we've seen with Larson since he's moved to the 5, where he's just been the dominant car and blowing everybody the fuck out of the water. Ryan Blaney, another guy too, runner-up in the title, 3 wins, including that Martinsville must-win that a lot of people, I'm sure, had some coin on him. 12 top 5s, 18 top 10s, 15.2 average finish on the year. He kind of got knocked down in the regular season points because I think he had 7 DNFs on the year. Didn't help him there, but either running bad or running poorly, or running bad or running well, running up front. And then also a couple guys in Xfinity. Eric Almirola only raced 14 times this year for JGR, won 3 of those races. 8 of them were top 5s, 9 of them were top 10s, an average finish of 9.2.
Almirola,
it made us some good money this year. pulled out that, he wants to race at tracks that he wants to race at. Take the summer, have some fun, ran the whole playoffs in that 20 car, got a win there at Kansas. And then SVG, Shane Van Gisbergen, got 3 wins in the Xfinity Series, 7 top 5s, 10 top 10s, 16.5 average finish. Relatively respectable year. Didn't get a second cup win, but also may have cashed some top 5, top 10 numbers. But those Xfinity wins in that little road course stretch in the summer, even though he was a heavy favorite, if you drink the juice and it hits, you only have to pay the juice if you lose.
I think if SVG pulls off the sweep at Chicago, he is the MVP, or at least higher up in my consideration here.
Yeah,
I lost a lot of money on him. I had the parlay for the back-to-back, and that's NASCAR's fault, really.
That really sucks because there were a few guys that had their days get messed up because of those 2 laps that they were out there in the pouring rain. I mean, Briscoe and SVG get destroyed. Bubba Wallace gets mad at Bowman. I mean, personally, I'm okay with the way everything went. That Sunday in Chicago. Everything was perfectly fine for me, but for a lot of bettors, it was not.
Yeah, and so that's kind of, I guess, where SVG is out of the conversation for me, and also didn't really show up at the Glen, didn't show up at the Roval, I think, like we thought as well. So kind of a down.
Not an Xfinity, at least. Almost won the Cup race. Thank Chris Buescher knocking him out there. But yeah, Xfinity, it didn't quite go so well.
Yeah, and Larson, Blaney, like Larson, he was great for outrights, hit a shit ton of outrights on Larson, hit some top 5s, but he had some leaky performances. Kansas the second time around was kind of questionable there all of a sudden. Was kind of bad down the stretch, just like wasn't getting, didn't have race winning speed at places like Homestead and Martinsville like I thought he could. Texas got real squirrely. So Larson's kind of off my list for that. Like I hit a lot of outrights on Larson, but Ryan Blaney.
The problem with Larson too is all his outrights, he's the favorite or the second favorite of the first. You're never getting any value there because the guy can win everything.
Sonoma was pretty good value. I think maybe he was maybe 8-1, and yes, but outside of that, you're right. And Ryan Blaney, like Martinsville, I think like Blaney, he would be like second probably on my list for MVP because I think like he won at Martinsville when he was supposed to. He won at Iowa when he was supposed to. He was supposed to win at Gateway, and he came a fraction of it. And just consistent. You knew where to bet him for the top 5. You knew you're betting him at Phoenix. You knew you're betting him at Martinsville. Like he just felt like such a good guy to bet top 5s on when you knew where he was going. Like I bet more top 5s on Ryan Blaney than almost anything this year, and it was profitable more times than not. So thank him for that. I will say, though, and let us know in the chat, guys. Like, I want this to be interactive. We need your vote to decide here as well, because I'm going Eric Almirola. He's my MVP. You just knew when this guy was going to show up, man. Elliot, if you bet Eric Almirola top 5 every race, you came out on the positive end because
8 out of 14 races, even the top 10. Top 10, there's not a top 10 in Xfinity usually,
but you were getting at some of those tracks. You were getting 2-1s. You were getting 2.5 to 1s. Like you were plus money, way plus money if you were betting him top 5s. I was betting him at more of the short tracks, Martinsville, both times. That was the easiest sweat of my life. Like no sweat bet. It felt like Martinsville the second time around. So. Almirola is my bettors MVP. Let us know in the chat, who is your guys' NASCAR bettors MVP? Elliot's saying Logano. I'm saying Eric Almirola in the Xfinity Series. But I mean, all these guys have a case, Elliot.
Yeah, and that Almirola is a good pick too. He'd get my silver medal. I'd give Blaney probably the 3rd place medal there. But yeah, Almirola. It'll be curious to see what he does next year. Also, I don't know if we have him anywhere on our superlatives here, but maybe next year we see kind of an Almirola in Martin Truex Jr. coming back running 10 Xfinity races if he can, going out there having some fun.
Yeah, he needs it. He needs it for sure. Okay. TK saying car MVP was 20. Yeah, honestly, whoever it was, yeah. So, all right, we'll give it to Eric Almirola. Sorry, Logano, you got the championship. You didn't get the bettors MVP.
I said he was my MVP. He doesn't have to be the bettors MVP, but for me, the 20 car, I mean, JHN, Ryan Truex had a couple of wins in it, Almirola. Whoever else was in it too. Good year for that team, for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Except when Ty Gibbs ran it. Kind of dog shit those races, but.
Yeah, true. Well, now he's an Xfinity owner now. He's not. I don't know if he's going to drive there anymore.
Yeah. What's the next category here, Elliot?
Yeah, speaking of good drives, the drive of the year, some nominees that we have here. Obviously, some recency bias. 3 of these 4 playoff races. Ryan Blaney at Martinsville the second time around. I mean, the conversation after the race ended up being all about the manipulation. But damn if Ryan Blaney didn't drive his ass off to get back to the field, passing these guys that also were in must-win situations. I mean, Chase and Larson, who were running 1 and 2, they both had to win. And they both had to hold their spot in the last 20 laps of that race. Blaney outduels them, wins into the Final Four again at Martinsville. That's a hell of a drive. Justin Allgaier in the championship race at Phoenix overcomes just a cacophony of mistakes, ends up going a lap down, speeding on pit road. In practice, Brennan pulls leaking oil, destroys 2 of the JRM cars, put together the backup car that was Dale Jr.'s Bristol car that Jr. said, hey, that was supposed to be the car that I ran, and then it just sat around on the shop floor till I run it again. That was the backup car for Allgaier. Ends up taking home an Xfinity title, gets that well-timed caution.
And he spent a bunch of the night trying to help Brandon Jones as well, because Brandon Jones, the pedals were messed up with his car just because it was for somebody I believe a bit taller. So he was in there with the garage guys helping him out. So just wanted to add that as well. But awesome story.
Yeah, and then some others too. We talked about Chris Buescher at Watkins Glen, out of the playoffs. That team had every reason to go into early vacation mode, but just how disappointing and gutting that was. Goes out there and outduels SVG, the modern-day road course king, with the last lap pass in the bus stop there to claim the win at Watkins Glen. And then Kyle Larson at Sonoma led 19 laps en route to the win. This one was a little more fuzzy in my memory, Seth, but you put it in there as a nomination. So what was the Larson at Sonoma extra special drive there?
It was just him coming back. Like he was like 20 or 30 seconds behind MTJ. If you remember, MTJ ran out of gas on the final stretch there after Larson had well passed him and Buescher.
Yeah.
But him and Buescher. So Larson was just like 30 seconds back on fresh tires, and just I remember the drive was just so impressive. Also because I bet on him, was probably part of it. But I mean, hell, that was awesome. So. I just won't forget though MTJ ever running out of gas on that stretch. That was hilarious.
I do remember that he ended up 20th or something there.
Felt like Cars, like the ending of Cars.
Oh yeah, I think I was driving that day. I may not have been watching as closely as some other days there. So, but again, that was also back in June. We've had just such a crazy playoffs that some of those early to mid-year races. I even kind of went back through all the races to see if there's any other nominees here, but these were the best 4 for me. I'm tempted to go either Blaney or Buescher here. What do you think?
Oh, man. I mean, Ryan Blaney's was probably the most skilled, I would say, just how he was able to work his way up through Martinsville when he needed it. But I'm a sucker for the story. Gator. I don't want to go back-to-back Xfinity here. Let us know in the chat, guys, who had the best drive of the year. For me, it is Gator. I just thought, no way. I mean, not only was he in a backup car, not only did he have to go pit again? He had to go back on, but then didn't he speed on pit road or something as well? Like
that's right. He had a flat because the Herb's running into him, which he would have been at the end too. Runs it out. I think Stone's up top 10 in the stage, which didn't matter for stage points for the championship for anyway. But then he speeds on pit road, gets knocked back again. But just all works out. Everyone who's saying that if you think Logano's is Mickey Mouse, then would you say Allgaier's is Mickey Mouse because he would have been trapped a lap down if not for the yellow? You play the cards you're dealt. That's all Logano's doing. That's what Allgaier did. But damn, even like later in that run, Custer was ahead. Allgaier went back, ran him down. You're kind of convincing me here. That was a damn good one, but I don't know. I might lean Buescher here, but just for the difference of opinion, we'll go with that.
Okay, so all right, so we got a Buescher and we got a Justin Allgaier. Let us know in the chat. Marcus, he's going with Justin Allgaier as well. TK reminded us Larson pitted later than everyone else and ran the field down with time to spare. Yeah,
it's coming back to me now.
Yeah, that's one lesson learned as well. Larson, dangerous at road courses. My goodness.
Larson, dangerous anywhere. Best damn driver in the world. That includes all the F1 drivers, by the way.
Yes, sir. Won't hear a complaint out of me on that one. You know my stance there. All right, well, we'll go ahead though, and we'll give the drive of the year to our guy Justin Allgaier. To Xfinity guys taking home the title first. TK agreeing with Allgaier as well. All right.
I can't hate it. Dude, this next category, or go ahead, Seth.
I was just saying, I mean, this just proves the Xfinity series is awesome. If you're not watching it, make time for it. If you don't want to watch ARCA or the trucks or whatever, I get it, but Xfinity needs to be a must watch every weekend.
The last couple of years, I would say, as a whole, product-wise, Xfinity has been better than Cup. They just released the dates and times for all 3 of the top series, and the Xfinity series, a lot of night races, which you don't get in Cup that much.
all I
anymore.
want. I love
A lot of night
races,
races.
Xfinities.
And
Yes.
the entire season over the air on the CW. If you don't know what the CW is, all you got to do is get a cheap TV antenna or maybe a little more expensive one if you're not really close to the city that your local broadcasters are from. You may have to go a little further. All free over the air just with that antenna. That'll be really good for the Xfinity series too.
Pretty sure the CW app is free right now as well.
Right.
So
And the big thing was they didn't stream it there when they had it this year, but I think
okay.
they'll work that out for next year where on the CW app or through your TV provider, you can probably stream it. But regardless, doesn't matter how you watch it. It's going to be damn good all year long.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. A lot of good up and comers next year as well. JRM's gonna be fucking good. What else?
The 2 Haas factory cars, it's going to be good. But we'll talk about Xfinity when we preview Xfinity in a couple weeks. Next award, the most surprising driver of the year. The top one here is probably my pick, Carson Hocevar, rookie year in that number 77 for Spire. Gets a top 5 along with 6 top 10s and an 18.3 average finish. Again, that's in a Spire car. You remember back 2019, 2020 when this team first showed up? Guys like Quinn Houff running that car of the week. The guys like I don't even remember some of these names. They were so off the wall.
Just think about Ty Dillon was in that car last year, and he was
Ty Dillon full time. I'm going to open up a little racing reference, and we'll get some of these random ass names from back when the 77 first started. When this show first started, I would take every opportunity I could to shit on Spire, but they've earned their shit this year. Won the Rookie of the Year, Carson Hocevar. Yeah. Another nominee is another Spire driver, Zane Smith, who pre-Nashville, of course, Nashville was that runner-up finish on fuel mileage that really turned his season around. Pre-Nashville, only 4 top 20s for this team.
Wow.
From Nashville on, so that's starting with that P2 at Nashville, had 2 top 5s, 4 top 10s, and matched Hocevar's average finish for the year at 18.3 in the second half of the year. Definitely had, I didn't even count the top 20s because he was top 20 2/3 of those races. You know, he ran his ass off, really got used to the next-gen car, and whether he's in Cup or not next year, he showed he was worthy this year. He turned it around big time. Stepping down to the lower series as well, Raja Karuth, another Spire. Look at that, Spire/Hendrick, whatever you want to call it. Got his first win of his career at Las Vegas, had 5 top 5s and 12 top 10s in his first Truck Series season, presumably back in that truck next year. And then our other nominee, Anthony Alfredo, in the 5-car Hour Motorsports. That really is a slimmed down team. Didn't have, a lot of employees, a lot of support there. Ends up 15th in the Xfinity points. Nothing to sneeze at with a lot of big teams around there. 2 top 5s, 7 top 10s on the year, an average finish of 18.5. And when we were at Dover, takes home the Dash for Cash, which was major for that Hour Motorsports team.
Yeah, Anthony Alfredo definitely has a place in my heart after kind of what he did this season. And talk about a guy who's kind of been grinding the last couple of years, it feels like. He made his way up the Cup at one point and now has kind of settled in Xfinity and been a really solid driver. One of the best seasons of his career since he's come back down for sure. But to me, it's Carson Hocevar is the most surprising driver. I don't think I expected you know me, Elliot. I'm like always on the rookie fever shit. Last year was Gragson. A couple years ago was Briscoe. Like I'm always hyped on the rookies. I wasn't as much this year, at least not Hocevar. I thought if anyone, like it'd be Josh Berry, maybe breaking out for a win. But
I don't blame you because we just saw a full year of that 77 car running 30th every week with Ty Dillon. I don't blame you at all.
I mean, yeah, like he was getting you 5 fantasy points per week, and you were happy with it. Like that's yeah. I mean, he maybe 1 top 10, maybe on the year or so. And what Carson Hocevar was able to do is have speed every week. Like he's another one of these guys. We're talking about drivers who can find speed and just are fast. He is one of them. He is clearly that. He has made this car that. He wins Rookie of the Year, as you alluded to as well. So well earned. And it was kind of difficult to bet him at times because he did only have 6 top 10s, but he would be running in the back half the top 10 a lot and just not finish there and finish like 12th or 11th, 13th. But great guy for matchups and someone I'm going to be looking to hammer early in the season as well. If I can get a win total over a half a win, I might hit it. If I can maybe get a long shot on a championship future or even just in matchups week to week, I'll hopefully be banging him as well.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, so I found some of these random Spire names. Obviously, we know Justin Haley got the win in that car. You had Timmy Hill in that car, Quinn Houff, Blake Jones, somebody who I don't know has been heard of since then.
I don't even know if I know who Blake Jones is.
Blake Jones, DJ Kennington. We had Jamie McMurray in that car once. Garrett Smithley, Reed Sorensen, Stanton Barrett, Josh Balicki, James Davison, Chastain ran those couple races. BJ
Yeah.
McLeod. You had Allgaier run a couple races. I think you're in the dirt race. Stuart Friesen, Ben Rhodes, Mike Rockenfeller, Landon Castle. They've been able to put stuff together.
Kind of
They've
some
been able
decent
to put it
names at the
together.
end there. Yeah, not some bad names at the end
Right.
there.
That shows the improvement. No
Yeah.
disrespect to Blake Jones. I don't know if he'll be back in the Cup Series anytime soon, but Spire definitely has improved. And I've been saying it when ranking guys like Hocervar and Smith in the tiers. Spire is going to be exciting next year. They're going to be something to watch. And you're right, with some of these guys, win total over under half a win, I might have to sniff the over for a couple of these guys, especially because Hocervar and Smith pulled out really good runs at road courses, which might be a place where I wouldn't really expect them to do well, but a place where you can have the underdogs win almost more than anywhere else other than a road course now, or other than a super speedway nowadays.
Yeah, agreed with you there. Keep going, Blake Jones. We believe in you, bud. We appreciate your services. We got some votes in the chat. I'm going Hocervar. Where are you going, Elliot? You going Hocervar?
I think so.
Yeah, TK saying Spire Cup is also the most surprising team of the year, or most improved team for sure. Yeah, they looked great, and hopefully I want to see a little more out of Haley down the stretch. We didn't see a ton out of him, but
I feel like that was tough, and same with LaJoy in the 51 too. I think he probably could have run better, but they had mechanical failures in that car, and I'm sure. I mean, Haley jumping into a whole different manufacturer, whole different team there. Just some things that I think will be gelled into next season, and same with LaJoy if he ends up sticking with Rick Ware in the 15 or 51 or whatever they're going to end up doing with their cars.
Marcus saying his most surprising driver, Raja Karuth. I get it, man. I didn't think Raja was a serious contender coming into this season. So shout out to Raja for tearing it up down in there in trucks. TK also making the case for Zilich being surprising just because how dominant he was at the Glen. People expect him to be good, but not to that degree.
That should have been in our drive of the year. We kind of let that one slip. That probably should have been. We're gonna put that as an honorable mention. Thanks for reminding us of that, TK.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a very good one. Shout out to Connor Zilich. All right, man. What else do we have here?
So we just did most surprising. We're going to most disappointing now. We kind of grouped together one of the most disappointing groups. Legacy Motor Club. Eric Jones, John Hunter Nemechek, and we'll even throw Jimmy Johnson in there too. Jones was 28th in the points this year. JHN was 34th, ended up being the worst full-time driver thanks to Harrison Burton winning at Daytona and making the playoffs. The 43 car, only one top 5 and 2 top 10s all year. Eric Jones did not lead a single lap in the 2024 NASCAR Cup Series. A multi-time winner, a former Joe Gibbs Racing driver, did not lead a single lap all year. 22.9 average finish for him. For JHN, he didn't crack the top 5 once, cracked the top 10 4 times though. 25.4 average finish there. And I'm just throwing in Jimmy because the next gen is just so crazy and so different. He did improve, and he got his 2 best next gen finishes in his last 2 races of the year.
Yeah.
29th and 26th.
Okay.
Great job, Jimmy. So that's pretty disappointing all around from that group. Also, a couple more nominees here, Ben Rhodes down in the Truck Series. 2-time champion, Thor Sport, one of the best teams out there, wasn't able to win a race this year.
3 top 5s. Bad. He was so bad.
3 top 5s, 9 top 10s. Only led 28 laps in that 99 truck, 15.4 average finish. A guy who I threw a fair bit of money on, or a fair bit of bets on, as a title contender once he was looking like he was going to make the playoffs there. Barely squeaked into the playoffs, and then really didn't do anything once he got in there. This is tough because it was a bad luck season, just as much as a disappointing season. Kyle Busch, P20 in the points. The winning streak in the Cup Series ends. Didn't win a race this year. Only 5 top 5s, 10 top 10s. 18.3 average finish for the 8 this year. In Xfinity as well, Brandon Jones. We saw how good JRM was at times this year. Wasn't the case for Jones. 14th in Xfinity standings, which makes your Anthony Alfredo 15th look a lot better. Wasn't able to win a race. 1 top 5, 8 top 10, 19.4 average.
Always fade Brandon Jones.
Yeah, Jones. That's a worse average finish than Alfredo had as well in a team with minuscule amounts of the budget. Back to Cup for our last 3 nominees here. Ty Gibbs, no wins this year. Still hasn't been able to work out that first win. He had a pretty decent, he had an okay start to the year. Total for the year, 8 top 5s and 12 top 10s. But post Coke 600, only 4 top 10s for Ty Gibbs. 17.4 average finish. His last 5 races of the year. This is a team that I don't know if they were trying some weird shit or if they were just in early vacation mode or what. But Ty Gibbs' last 5 races of the year, 35th, 30th, 36th, 32nd, and
Wow.
dead last P40, crashing on the
Wow.
second.
I knew it was bad. I didn't know it was that
But
bad.
his last 5 races were that bad.
Oh.
54 car, quite disappointing. Ross Chastain, I think there's been more disappointing on this list, but you have to throw in almost Trackhouse as a whole, too. I mean, Suarez kind of ran average, got the win. But for Chastain, for a guy who was only a couple hundred feet from a title 2 years ago, 19th in the point standings, doesn't get a win in the regular season, does get that win at Kansas in the playoffs. 6 top 5s, 14 top 10s, 14.9 average finish. Not the season they wanted. I don't think he's the winner of this award. Definitely not the year they wanted. Last but not least, he's already been spoiled in the comments here. Martin Truex Jr. ended up 10th in points, had some good consistency at the end of the year finishing-wise. But really, I mean, was he even close to a win all year? After Spring Richmond, I don't think he came close at all. 5 top 5s, 11 top 10s, 17.4 average finish. And it just, for Truex especially, the last third of the year, you know he wanted to be on that fishing boat more than he wanted to be in that next-gen car. That car just never jived with his style. I've mentioned this before. I think there are a few drivers, if not a lot of drivers in Cup, that with the old-school car or the Gen 6, their hopes and their fun and their driving styles suited it a hell of a lot better than this next-gen. Truex perhaps more than anybody. That's why I think he'll have fun running the 500 next year. But I think he's going to be way more of an Xfinity guy than a Cup guy going forward for his part-time fun.
Yeah, it was a tough scene, and Sonoma was probably the only other place he had a shot. He ran out of gas, but
yeah,
I'm sorry, I can't get that shot out of my mind. That was so funny, but yeah, it was tough though, especially because like if we did this exact episode a year ago, which we should have, but we didn't, like hand out awards, he would have been my Bettors MVP. I made a shit ton of money in 2023 on Martin Truex, and just it was a tough scene, and there were different times that you and I would try to go back to the well, and
for me, the first third of the year was frequent. I was in the between bets almost every other week. Hey, Truex looks good here, but most of that was pre-next gen numbers. And one more, pour one out one more time for my over 2.5 wins for Truex this year. That didn't work at all.
Yeah, it was a good under. That would have been a good under for sure. Even like Homestead, Homestead was like the first time since he announced his retirement that I tried to get back invested with him. So Truex, I'm having a hard time picking between Truex and Legacy, because Legacy, like, that's also just, I mean, come on. Eric Jones is a good driver, and like he was always great the last couple years for a spot top 10 play. Hey, he's going to Pocono. He's going to Darlington. Eric Jones top 10 put on the card, and you couldn't
only happened twice this year.
Do you know where those top 10s were by chance offhead?
I'll pull them up if you want to go through some of these other guys here.
No, I'm just curious on that, because I remember you got brought up for Pocono and Darlington. I was like, I can't do it. I don't know if I bet on Eric. I bet on Eric Jones actually to win the championship, trying to catch cash out.
That's right.
And then they let me cash that out at even money, no loss, no wins, about like halfway through the season. I was like, yep, I'll take that. And I don't think I ever bet on him aside from that, though, in season. TK.
Jones's top 10s, the Daytona 500, he was 8th, and Fall Talladega, he was 5th, and that's it. So he basically he could have run the 15 for Ware and had the same season. He could have run the Blake Jones Spire car from 2019 and probably had the same season. It was just disappointing.
TK saying it's hard to argue with Legacy as the worst. Marcus saying MTJ was the most disappointing driver for him. And then TK also kind of agreeing with Marcus, considering the expectations for MTJ, and also from a betting standpoint, MTJ for sure let us down. Yeah, fuck it. Yeah, I got to give it to MTJ, I think, just because if you try to bet on him at any point, we knew pretty, like, after the first 6 races, like, yeah, we're not betting on Legacy. Except I bet on Legacy at one. I bet JHN over Corey LaJoy the first race. Corey LaJoy is in Rick Ware Racing equipment. He beat JHN in a matchup. Actually, I'm back to Legacy. Fuck Legacy. Fuck Legacy.
I will give Legacy the benefit of the doubt, because we have talked about it. It's been mentioned in broadcast. Legacy going to Toyota. A lot of times with Toyota, you'd see the teams link up and have the manufacturer support. The team support. We've seen Toyota teams link up with JGR. Chevrolet teams all link up with Hendrick. With the Fords, you had teams go with Stewart Haas, some with Roush, some with Penske, things like that. Legacy's doing it all on their own. They're building their notebook on their own, and Lord knows that's a tough watch. It's a tough watch. It leads to some tough seasons like this. We know these guys are good. We know that even even if they throw one of them out for Corey Heim in a couple of years, there's still a talented driver in there. I think they'll get there. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt this year. The more I think about it, and the more I was looking at these stats today, I might have to give it to Ty Gibbs, because I think early in the year we were thinking Ty might be a guy who can win a race. Ty, he did make the playoffs, but he might be a guy that can really make some noise for potential title. In my playoff preview, I'm pretty sure I had him in the round of 8. Like, wow. I was expecting big things, and only 4 top 10s after the Coke 600 in May. I mean, that's pretty disappointing. I mean, I totally have no problem with Truex. I have no problem with Legacy. Brandon Jones just really stunk it up. Thankful for that Menards money for him to get that JGR ride. I think we're going to see a Sheldon Creed-esque season just without all the second place finishes there with JGR again. But I can be convinced a few other ways, but I'm almost tempted to go Ty Gibbs just because we haven't seen it from him yet. You know, I don't know if he knew he wasn't going to get the win, or things just weren't working out and he kind of gave up, or if that team became, I don't know. It was just such a disappointing end of the year. It's sticking in my memory quite a bit.
Yeah, no, hey, cast your vote for Ty Gibbs. MTJ is still going to win because we have both TK and Marcus in the chat giving it to him. I'm on sending Legacy out the door, but that's the power of the chat, baby. Power of the chat.
That's all right. I know Truex is going to have a hell of a good time on his fishing boat in New Jersey most of the next year, and it'll be fun. I think I know they probably won't do an over-under for him in Xfinity. I think he's winning an Xfinity race next year in some JGR equipment.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'll be betting. I'll be back in next year. Don't you worry. I'll be betting Truex next year for sure, my friends.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go ahead, and our next category, I believe we're looking at comeback driver of the year.
That's correct. Let's get things a little more positive again. Comeback driver of the year, we got 3 nominees for. They all missed the playoffs in 2023, and they all made it back in 24. And what I did for this was a compare and contrast for their stats in 23 versus their stats in 24. They all won one more race in 24 than they did in 23. Briscoe got the win at Darlington at the last second to make it in. Cindric got the lucky win at Gateway. Chase Elliott ends up getting the win at Texas. In the top 5 game, Briscoe actually won fewer top 5 this year. He had 4 last year, or 4 2 years ago now, we can say. Last season, whatever. This fucking season, he had 3 top 5s. One more top 10. He had 9 top 10s this year. Average finish was a position and a half better. 18.8 this year for Briscoe. Went from P30 in the standings, which I didn't realize. That was a bad fucking year for Chase Briscoe.
Yeah, it
went
was.
From P30 to P14. Pretty good playoff even after he got knocked out. For Cindric, again, up a win, up a top 5 to 4, up 2 top 10s to 7 on the year. His average finish was almost 2 whole spots better, 1.7 spots, up to 19.9. He led 223 more laps this year than last year. 256 laps led for the 2-car. Went from 24th in the standings up to 11th. So I know Penske, they get all the flowers for 1-2 in the championship. It was a mighty respectable season from Cindric also. In terms of Chase Elliott, 4 more top 5s, 4 more top 10s, but he also ran, I think, 4 more races this year. So that's what you expect out of a Hendrick car. 236 more laps led. He led 431 this year. Average finish was up a position and a half to 11.7. Went from P17 to P7 in the standings, of course. Was in the battle there for the championship 4. And you can have a good argument for all these guys. I know Chase's was more injury related, but it was good to see all these guys get back to victory lane, get back in the playoffs in 2024.
Yeah, I probably should have thrown Bowman on this list too, because kind of same type of deal for him. I felt like he had a good run, but his stats were good.
The expectations are never quite as high. He's kind of for a guy like Briscoe, leading statesman in the flagship 14 car, or maybe you could say the 4th flagship at SHR. I don't know. And for Cindric, too, a guy, again, Penske flagship. The other 2 are great. You got to get him up there. I think these are your 3. I don't think there was going to be any Bowman love.
Okay. Yeah. Surprised you usually got them tinted glasses on. Bring on the Chase Elliott love. Let's hear it. I will give it to Austin Cindric, though, for me. I think all these guys are worthy. But Cindric, also because I had a guy came back in our YouTube comments like about a month ago and took our video from like back in February. We put out a whole video just about me talking shit on Austin Cindric. And the guy puts, well, this didn't age well. It's a pretty bad take. I said, no shit, Sherlock. Hell yeah. Austin Cindric, man. Like he was great. He was honestly, he had good runs, and there was a lot of times you could bet him for a top 10 and he was great. You could bet him in matchups and he was great. So yeah, like shout out to Cindric. He had a lot of doubts going into the season, and like I don't think Austin Cindric will ever be a top 7-5 driver in this sport, but I think he can be. I think he's a top 16 guy. I think that's where we have to start putting the expectations on him. Like, if we can get him, I would love to. Like, there probably are now that we have more sports books legal in Pennsylvania this year, but like just to make the playoffs now, because Bet365 had those last year. So if there's a bet for Sinning to make the playoffs, put me down for that next year, please.
Yeah, that's the expectation for sure. I probably would go with Cindric as well. And some things a lot of people don't realize, again, and maybe this is the internet take showing up more often, is not everybody in the Cup Series is going to have a shot to win the title every year. And most guys are never going to have a shot to win a title. You've added to that exponentially with the advent of this playoffs if they keep it around. But you can still have some good drivers, some guys who are going to keep the car clean for the most part, some guys who are pretty solid, some guys who they do their job. They get their win when they can. They do well when they can. They lead laps when they can. But just not everybody's going to be championship contending, winning 5 races a year, going out there and lighting the world on fire. And even for a guy like Briscoe, I mean, he's going to be in a good position going to JGR. But I don't want people calling for his head at JGR if it's not the best season next year, especially because the 19 car wasn't super great with Truex. And I mean, part of that can be Truex. Half of his mind's out on the fishing boat, like I said. But yeah, I don't know where my point was going here with that. But the point is, I do think that Cindric would also be my comeback driver of the year. And I think he's kind of the same. He's in that boat where a win a year probably should be expected.
Yeah. TK saying Cindric had a strong year. So out of the 3 we mentioned, he would go with him. Saying the other 2 are more stable and seem to have less on the line, at least once Briscoe was announced for next year. Yeah, totally valid there. I think we got one last award here, Elliot.
Yeah, I like this one. I don't know if you censored it or not for the graphic, but I'm not censoring it here. Luckiest Fucker Award. All right, great. That's all the graphic too. Luckiest Fucker of the year. We got 5 of them. One of them is a clear winner for me. It's Joey Logano's whole goddamn season. His whole year. Again, it's not that he didn't – he did what he needed to do when he needed to do it. But he gets the win at Nashville, saving like 100 laps of fuel. He's not in the playoffs without that win. He's not in the playoffs without the win. He didn't come close to pointing in. Gets that done. Does it again at Vegas with some wild fuel saving, getting the win there. And Joey Logano, for about 2 hours after the Roval, was out of the playoffs. He was out after the round of 12.
Dude got a call on his cell.
Gets a call from his crew chief or call from the owner or whatever. And it's like, hey, bud, they're going to disqualify this guy. You're going to be in. Goes out there. And I think we all said it. Everybody thought it. Like, okay, now Joey's going to go out and win the championship because it's even year Logano magic. It's taking advantage of the opportunities. Logano winning the title was the least fucking surprising thing to happen after that. He's got to be the luckiest fucker. But there are some other things to talk about here. We just were talking about Austin Cindric. Him at Gateway, it's not that he ran bad. He was in top 5 position most of that day, but he wasn't going to win that race.
Fastest he's looked in a long time, yeah.
Yeah, he was not going to win that race. Christopher Bell coming to the white flag starts blowing up. He can't keep up anymore. They come to the white. Cindric's kind of near Blaney, but Blaney's on his way to win. They miscalculate the fuel. He runs out. Austin Cindric takes home the win there, gets his first win in a while there. I'm throwing Bowman at Chicago as pretty lucky here. That car, it was pretty well beat up. He pretty much destroyed the front end of that car, turning around Bubba Wallace.
Yeah.
They talked to him during the rain delay. He's like, man, if this thing gets dry, it's probably going to be a pretty rough day. Never got dry enough. Ends up cycling to the front on strategy. I remember listening to the radio while that's happening. The team was going to try to put him on slicks and go up to the front. That car wasn't going to win the race on slicks, and that's what Alex said. Wasn't going to win the race on slicks. Might have won it on wets. Did win it on wets, but he was not going to win it on wets. Christopher Bell coming hard on slicks, gets turned with about either 2 laps or 5 minutes to go with that clock. And then Tyler Reddick was probably catching him, and he hits the wall in turn 5. Bowman ends up getting the win. Daniel Suarez at Atlanta. I'm calling that pretty lucky. I don't know that he contended for a win really anywhere else this year, seriously.
Atlanta too. Atlanta too.
But would that have been the same if he wasn't in the playoffs? And that could have, by literally that close, we all remember the finish, could have been Blaney's win, could have been Kyle Busch's win. It was Suarez's win, gets him into the playoffs. This another one where it's good drive, but what the guy would have won. Brad Keselowski at Darlington, getting through and breaking his winless streak. Probably wasn't going to win that race if it weren't for Reddick sending it into the corner, taking out both him and Buescher in the 6th car, able to get the win. We put those there mostly just to have nominees, but I think this is Joey Logano's award, luckiest fucker of 2024. he can take that home with his championship hardware.
What I'm learning is that I'm often on the bad side of luck, Elliot, because I had Ryan Blaney at Gateway when Cindric won. I had SVG and Christopher Bell at Chicago.
Yeah.
I had Kyle Busch at Atlanta. I had Christopher Buescher and Tyler Reddick at Darlington. So I've been on
And you had other guys other than Logano to win the title.
Yeah, Ryan Blaney to win the title. So yeah, luck has not been on my side. So yeah, I give it to Logano, but still, like, he is the luckiest fucker. He gets that, but also, like, we are the ones on the internet saying that he deserves this title as well.
Yes.
He is deserving of it, but he also some luck did factor into it as well.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt about it. Luck factored into it. Again, you play the cards you're dealt. They played the cards they were dealt, but they were fucking lucky to get the cards they were dealt from that dealer. Most dominant car award, Austin Dillon's 3 at Richmond. Yeah, I mean, I feel like not enough people talked about that because of the controversy with just dumping those 2 guys to win, which people factor in giving shit to Logano. Logano would have won that race. If Austin Dillon doesn't pull that Austin Dillon. I don't know if he's the most dominant car of the year. I know Larson a few races going out there leading a billion fucking laps.
Las Vegas Larson, early Las Vegas Larson. That was crazy.
Vegas Larson, Fall Bristol Larson, Southern 500.
Byron Cota.
Yeah, I mean, it was really only Bell and maybe Bowman that had a chance to challenge him there.
Also, my issue here, Jason, with not nominating Austin Dillon if we did have this award. I appreciate the shout, Jason. Appreciate you as well as my friend. But my issue with this, I don't know where they got their information or their setup.
It doesn't say most dominant car on full complete merit. Doesn't say most dominant car that would have passed.
We should have done a biggest cheater award as well. And I put them right at the top of the list.
Well, how about biggest cheater? The team that puts a car more than 20 pounds overweight for an 18th place run and gets knocked out of the playoffs because of it. I think
that's your biggest dumbass award for sure. Your biggest foot in the ass award is Foreman would say.
Foot in the ass, most moronic crew award, Hendrick 48.
Just saying most surprising dominant. No, that's a good that's valid. We are going to transition now to our top 7 NASCAR betting tips learned, but I did want to remind everyone, if you guys can complete the survey afterwards as well, that would be awesome. Give us some feedback. What do you like of this show? What do you not like? What do you like of our written content? What tools can we help build for you? We're just trying to get that information. It'll be a big help, and you'll get entered into some giveaways for some sweet diecast as well. So, Elliot, let's go ahead and turn the page for kind of a different edition of Tire Tears. What do you say?
Yeah, let's do it. We'll plug that giveaway in the survey again at the end. We'll show you some of this cool stuff I got over here. But yeah, after the show, during the show, next week before the show, whatever, we're going to put that link out there, get it out there for you. We want to know what you like, and what you like right now, hopefully, is our special Tire Tears of the evening. So both of us have picked out a total of 7 top NASCAR betting tips that we learned this season. And Seth, I think the first one here, pretty damn obvious.
Yeah, it is. Track your bets, folks. I put together a full spreadsheet this year, and each weekend I would put in my betting record, my units played, my return profits as well. I feel like I need to even up my game next year. I kind of want to start tracking by driver, by market type. And I'm hoping to put a template together. I can maybe get that to you guys by early next year. And because then you can really track, like, okay, I'm making money on Eric Almirola. I'm making money on Chase Briscoe. I know who to bet, who not to bet, that I'm having success, what markets are doing better. You can also download the Betting Pros app, sync your sports books there. That's a good way to track as well. I track all my bets across all the different sports I'm playing. I have learned, not a great F1 bettor, not a great IndyCar bettor, but we're going to keep swinging because that's what we do here at the Backroad. But yeah, I feel like I have, even just tracking what I did this year, Ellie, I feel like I have a great sense of what track style I'm good at and which I'm not. Like,
yeah,
I really got to be conservative super speedways next year because I was not profitable. Like, I didn't have a bunch of losses, but I didn't win money at super speedways. Same, like, I struggled with road courses this year a little bit too. I was very swingy There were races at road courses I was up 10 units, and other ones I was down 10 units. So tracking your bets, it's huge, man. I think it's something we all have to be doing. Put in a little bit of work, and it'll really make a difference at the end of the season.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And that part of your point on road courses too, how I mentioned about how they're almost as crazy as the super speedways, at least the handicap. And with super speedways, we see a lot of other betting shows just completely skip the super speedways. They don't even do a show, let alone put any money on it. They don't. People don't bet them. People, they're just. It's crazy because anything can happen, and yeah, you're more often than not, unfortunately, you're going to lose the money. This also could work too with our. We've got our DFS projections tool as well, and you also can apply this sort of thing to DFS as well. See how guys are pointing out when they're starting in XYZ position. Are they able to move up and get some of that differential? Or do they run well on this track? Do they eventually get lapped and really lose you some points? It's something you can pay attention to there as well.
Absolutely. 100%. Highline's done a great job with that tool and got a big brain. So happy to tap into that over there. Our second NASCAR betting tip that we learned in 2024, just be okay with drinking the juice. Like in NASCAR betting, I feel like especially it's easy to get kind of lost in the sauce because there's so much plus money out there. There's big payouts waiting for you. But the juice is the juice for a reason. And I feel like once I really started leaning into it, drinking a glass and building my cards around it, I was more profitable. And as our friend Rod always says, Elliot, you only pay the juice if you lose. So that's kind of my standpoint on it. Some of my heaviest bets each week, they are minus money, and I'm okay with it. I'm okay with betting certain drivers 5-1, 4.5-1. If the value makes sense, if the value is there, you do it, and don't be afraid to do it. I know it's not always fun. It's not always hip. It's not always sexy. It's not going to get the headlines and the interactions on X, but it's what you got to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost a hard lesson to learn because when you first come in and especially if you're only putting little sprinkles on things, if you're not really a high dollar, high unit bettor, drinking the juice feels like it kind of sucks because if you're only putting a little bit in, which I especially was when I first started a couple years ago with this, when you're only putting little sprinkles on things, you're wanting to go for the big crazy things. You're wanting to pull out the exactas or the quinellas or the crazy top 10 or the crazy outright. But I had more bets hit and made more just in this playoffs, really. Even if you take out the championship bets, I had more hit in the second half of this year than I had in the 2.5 years before that.
Yep.
Because I was more willing to drink the juice. And part of that is also all these other tips working together. But that was the biggest thing for me. Drink the juice, be okay with it. Take those lower value. You only pay it if you lose, because they don't lose quite as often, which is why they're pretty juicy.
Any bet hitting is a good bet. That's how you have to start looking at it here. And so moving on to number 3 here, less is often more. So I hit this summer slump. I feel like I was like Alex Bowman out there from previous seasons, so William Byron of 2024.
From this season too. I mean, you had the win in Chicago in the third.
Yeah,
but it was still a slump anyway.
He was heating up there for a second, but I was upwards at times early in the year, making 20 bets a week across all 4 series if I was getting frisky and betting ARCA that week. And I made the transition from doing that many bets to about 8 to 12 on a weekend. And it really, really helped me. Instead of just trying to fill my card with bets I would only bet the ones I love. And once I really started applying this around Michigan, I was plus 29.5 units for the rest of the season, 13 races. That wasn't all just because of that by any means, but you still got to take your shot. You still have to find your sprinkles. You know what I mean? Like I was sweating out that Dawson Sutton top 5, 20-something to 1. And then later that week hit a 30 to 1 on Ross. Like you have to take your long shot sprinkles, but I feel like I'm just so far past the point where I'm betting a bunch of plus money placements for a unit and a half each week. I feel like I'm finding the bets I like, and I'm not afraid to put 3 units on it. A lot of times it's juice, but hey, that you get back what you get back. So I think less is often more, Elliot, and I'm learning that as I go along here as a bettor.
Yeah, I was also going to connect it to drinking the juice that if you make some juicier bets, if you make less bets, you make the bets you're real confident in for the most part, you're going to make more. If you throw out, even if you take the same units, which I'm assuming is what you're doing in this case, put the same unit value on bets you like a little more, on fewer bets, even if you say I might like this one a little better than this one, but I'm feeling more confident in one of these, I'm going to take that one. Less is definitely more.
Yeah, 100%. I got a super chat here from Didi for a 50. Thank you, Didi. Far
Very
too
good.
kind. I just saw on Facebook this week, Elliot, that Didi just closed on a house out in, I believe, Idaho, the great state of Idaho. So maybe we could get a NASCAR race out to Didi here at one of these points in Idaho.
Portland Xfinity might be your best bet, honestly. Or if they ever bring back Auto Club, I think out in that particular neck of the woods, I don't know what's out there for NASCAR, but maybe a little Denver street course action someday. Who knows?
Yeah, well, we appreciate you, Didi, saying just popping in. We're moving on the 20th. Well, congratulations to you. Good luck to you and your family on that transition, but excited for you, happy for you. Let's get to number 4 here on the list, Elliot. And it's about betting matchups and not groups. And I know this will probably be highly debated, to be honest with you. I know there's a lot of people who do like betting groups, but I felt like once we went to Dover, I really started to find an edge in matchups. Not only can you track head-to-head history at a specific track, but you can also track head-to-head history at comps for a given season, for the season before as well. And I feel like you can really lean on those trends to find a hammer. Sometimes you're going to get burned. I remember I bet once on Gator over Creed at a certain track style, and that was the 1 week of course that Sheldon Creed in like 8 tries beat Gator. But like, do you remember earlier in the year, it was like Carson Quapple was 7-0 against Sammy Smith, and we just kept hitting him every single week. Same with like Logano. He just had some really bad stats at some of the summer tracks. So I was fading the fuck out of him. Yeah. And
when you do compare those matchups, though, at the comp tracks especially, you got to remember, we talked about this last week, there's always one in the comps where things get a little fucky for a driver.
Sure,
so you gotta make sure it's not at one of those if you do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I feel like the matchups too, like you can not only like, you can find one driver you want to fade in a week. Like there are weeks where it's like, hey, I think Kyle Busch is overvalued. I think he's matched up against the wrong people. Same with Logano at different points this year. And I would take multiple matchups against them. And hey, even if someone is finishing 20th and Kyle Busch or whoever I'm fading is in the 30s, we're good on that week. And I just feel like
if there's a guy too that you like a lot and you want to throw money on whenever you can. Zilich last week at Phoenix, I'm like, this guy's undervalued. I want to get as many bets on him as I can. I don't think he's going to win, but anything short of that, I want to put on there. Didn't matter if it was Brandon Jones, if it was anybody outside of the championship 4, I was going to be throwing that money on Zilich, or at least wanting to put that bet out there on him. So that's another situation you can apply that to too. Not just fading, but oh shit, I think this guy's going to be great. Is he going to win? No. Do I want to put money on him any way I can? Yes.
And I feel like motorsports betting, there will always be some type of luck involved, because we're betting on, not only we're betting on drivers and crew chiefs and pit road and all these external variable factors, but you're also betting on the car itself that can have wide ranges of outcomes. But I feel like in head-to-heads, it can somewhat limit some of that luck going into it, as opposed to groups. When I'm betting groups of 4 and 6 drivers, there's way too many variables in there for me to get a good read. I know some people in this space have been very profitable betting groups. I don't look at groups anymore. It's something I don't even consider each week, to be honest with you. I don't even open them up because they're just not my style of betting, Elliot. So I prefer matchups over groups. I know that might be controversial, but that's just my opinion here.
Yeah, I can't argue too much with it there. The other point I was going to make, you kind of alluded to there, groups with 4, especially 6 drivers, there's way more room for fuckery. There's just way more room for fuckery. There's more variables. There's shit that can really hit the fan there. With a matchup, you're limiting your risk there. But sometimes you do have to take those risks, as we'll talk about. I still look at the groups. You know, I still throw down a group bet every once in a while. But I do think matchups, matchups are the safer bet. And again, more often than not, you're going to be better off winning a matchup than dealing with all the fuckery of a 6-person group.
I love nothing more than hammering a matchup for 3 units, 4 units, and just having the fun with it, man. I love betting matchups. Honestly, my favorite bet, like if you said, hey, you can only bet one market for the rest of your life, give me head-to-heads. I'll take head-to-heads. Honestly, love them. What do you got here for number 5, Elliot?
Yeah, so the next 2 are ones that I throw on the list specifically. Number 5 is trust your instincts. And that's part of what I alluded to with these bet sheets. You know, I'm one of those guys that I'll throw down some bets, but also I will pull out what's good for content and debate whether I'm going to bet it with you guys, with the people in the comments, with just myself, watch practice and qualifying, that sort of thing. But we've gotten to a point here, and we've kind of joked about it, but we've also talked about it seriously, that we've been hitting some bets. All the research that we're able to do, all of the people like iFantasy Race and things like that, they really know
people
what
in
they're
the
doing
chat too.
The people in the chat, yeah, they've given us some good bets. So I think it was Stan last week.
Stan,
it was the over 1.5 out of the race or something.
Yeah.
Ty Gibbs wrecks out immediately, and Balicki or somebody else DNF'd early on. That bet would have hit too.
Yep,
Trust your
Stan.
instincts. Trust the people that are around. Trust the research that you do. And I know when things come down to real money, it's one thing to put it on this piece of paper, but when things come down to real money, I know there are people that have more disposable income in some cases. Sometimes you don't. But if you're going to put all the time and put all the work in, and just being the fact that I've been a race fan for almost 20 years now, you've been, like you said, before you could sit on the pot. A lot of these other people have been to a bunch of races. You're in it. You're around it. Take the risk and trust your instincts there. And that leads to my next point. You can give some thoughts here because I said the word risk. That's a natural segue that I just blew over explaining.
Yeah.
It. Number 6 for me is take those educated risks. We talked about drinking the juice. Those oftentimes are your more profitable bets, and you got to drink your juice. But also you can take those educated risks. Sometimes the books will give you some big value that you're like, hey man, I kind of like this at a big number. There were a lot of times in the summer where some big numbers on like a Todd Gilliland top 10, most of our top 10, something like that. Even like New Hampshire in particular, I think you had both Haley and Gilliland running in the top 5 for a good portion of that race in a week where I shouted them out to be top 10. Did I throw a lot of money on them? No. Did I end up losing the one that I did throw more on, Justin Haley, when some asshole spun him out? Yeah, but that's not the point. Take your educated risks. Even in that same race, I was getting away from the exactas and the Quinellas and things like that. But sometimes you take a peek. And I was an inch away from hitting a first Christopher Bell and second Josh Berry exacta. That you can't throw your whole bucket into the giant plus money. But if you see the value there, take your educated risks, even if it's throwing down on a lot of juicy bets. If you're like, man, I don't know about this, but I'm really feeling good about it. Take your educated risks, get out there, and it'll help you out.
There is few feelings in the world that are better than hitting a long shot in NASCAR betting. Elliot, you can attest to this. When I hit the Dawson Sutton, I think 26-1 top 5, we were hanging out in my garage. I'd run outside. I mean, ecstatic, screaming at the top of my lungs, hoping I didn't wake up my girlfriend at the time. And you got to do it, man. You got to take your shots. And like, that's what sprinkles are for. That's what, that's what's great about sports betting is you don't always have to bet in a unit. I think in Delaware you do. I think weren't we talking about that with someone? I think in Delaware, like you have to bet in weird amounts or something.
Maybe.
But
I don't know.
But regardless, I think that's why you have a quarter of a unit bet. That's why you have a tenth of a unit bet. And I feel like not trusting my instincts more times than not, because the numbers weren't perfect, has hurt me as a bettor at times. Like I remember at Gateway wanting to bet Austin Cindric and saying 200-1 is too long of a number. And I think you have to bet that. And I didn't bet it because I was scared. And if I would have bet a quarter of a unit, I would have been sitting here today way more profitable for the season. So absolutely trust your instincts, take educated risks as well. And you're going to be happier for it. And I love the word educated there, because don't be going and putting like something's 4-1 for a reason. And I feel like I used to be so casual betting a 4-1 for a full unit, and figuring out what those right unit sizes are for those types of bets, I think is really key here, Elliot.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So we got one more left, number 7. Again, they all tie in together, and everything will help you out. Know what metrics matter.
Oh my, yeah, this is huge, because when you first get into the world of NASCAR gambling, NASCAR DFS, there are so many resources out there, which is great. And I think we're both a bit of stat nerds here. We like diving into the numbers. But when there's so much stuff out there, you can kind of get, again, lost in the sauce a little bit. So knowing which ones are important is key. There's loop data, which I think you should be looking at loop data. I really like average position, because that's like a really good stat for me of like, where were you running during the race? Like finishing is important, but where were you running? Laps led, driver rating. Whoever came up with driver rating, that is such a great metric. It can really tell you how a driver was performing that day. Of course, track history, very important. And I feel like it's almost becoming more important, especially like in the next gen. Now we have 3 years worth of data, Elliot. We have 6 races for most of these tracks, or not most of these tracks, but a large handful of these tracks. We have 6 races worth of data that we can now pull from. So track history, especially in the next gen era, I would say is very, very important. A little bit less important, I think, like going back in time. But still, track history matters. iFantasy races supplied metrics. We've talked about iFantasy race all season long. Their total speed rankings. I know you use them, Elliot. I'm looking at the track specifics and the comps. And like I think speed late in a run is very important as well. And I would say my final thoughts on what metrics matter is like different tracks can dictate what metrics matter. We give you what the winning percentage is based on the starting position each and every week on this program. And I feel like it's just because those can kind of tell you, like, does average starting position matter a little bit more? And so I just think really sorting through the mess, the fuck ton of shit out there right now is like really what's going to help you.
Yeah, and you got to know what metrics matter, like you said. I would say most of them do matter, but also another thing, it counts as metrics too, even though it's simple metrics. Go back and look at how a Jim has done at a particular track. If you're going to Daytona, has the guy run well at Daytona, or has he crashed out every year? Is Martin Truex Jr. going to win a super speedway race? Is he going to win the 500? Probably not, because he hasn't done it in 20 years. And also a big one that I use, you can have some gut feeling that you can also apply some metrics to. What have you done for me lately? If a guy's run like shit the last 10 weeks, is this track really going to be good enough for him to pick it up? Or is it something that maybe you should, dive into more of those metrics and see, okay, is this the week it's going to turn around, or isn't it? And that's part of what makes this so tough, and why we do need to share these tips, because these are the things that have helped us out a lot. They both helped the sports books. They both helped our units in the sports books grow a little more and make us a little happier come the end of the year.
Yeah. Very thankful for all the lessons we've learned. And it's been from a lot of people who are hanging out with us here each and every Thursday night on the Backroad, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. It's been a great season, profitable season for both of us as well. So very blessed for that. And Elliot, do you want to show one more time what we're giving away here? Yeah.
So go ahead and fill out the survey, postseason survey for the Backroad. Lets us know what you like, what you don't like.
In the episode description, folks.
Yep, in the description. Hopefully we'll get that bumped up in the description a little bit. We'll throw it in the comments again. We'll throw it on our socials. Maybe even get it out there on the Big League account. But yeah, we've got some giveaways here. We got a mystery 124th that'll be in this box as well. We have a new car from last time, 2018, when Casey Kane was in the 95 for Levine Family Racing. Little 164th there. Got some authentics that you find on the pegs there at your Walmart or your Target or whatever, including this year's champion, Joey Logano, Verizon number 22.
Let's go.
Suarez Freeway Pitbull car, Brad Keselowski Castrol throwback, number 6 there. A couple other trinkets in here as well. And of course, it's a Seth Woolcock show. Got to have the Busch light car, Busch to the Moon, Kevin Harvick from 2021 diecast as well.
Baby.
When Busch did all those millennial schemes. So got some nice little trinkets you can put up on your shelf there. Mystery 124th along with that. That giveaway will be done based on the responses that we get from this survey right here. Here's your Google form. Go ahead and type that in, copy and paste it from the comments. Go get it on our socials. Go get it in the episode description, because it's going to help make the show better this time next year. And it can get you some cool stuff too, not just now, but also in the future. Giveaways certainly aren't going to stop, Seth, and we are going to get back to some of those autograph things that we were giving out earlier in the year, because I know this stuff is cool, but if you can get an autograph from a guy you kind of like too, obviously a very cool collector's piece.
Yes. Very thankful for everyone. Please, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but this survey really does matter to us. We want to hear your guys' opinion. What is good on this show? What is not? What can we do better? We really want to build this NASCAR community up. We want to give back to you guys for everything you've given to us so far. So we want to continue to build this, and this is the easiest way to support us. And you're going to get some cool stuff along the way. And yeah, we're not stopping the giveaways anytime soon. Actually, this form, it's going to tell us how should we give the giveaway. Should it be specific people? Should it be just continue to do them like we are here on YouTube? It's going to help all that. So thank you guys so much. Thank you to Mallory for the comment here. Proud of y'all. Great season of the Backroad. Thank you so much, Mallory, for hanging out with us, tolerating us as well. Kush saying you've been very helpful. So appreciate that, Kush. You've been helpful as well, our friend. Elliot, any final thoughts? I'm excited to get back in the lab again next week. Same time, same bad channel, and maybe even some same bad bets here. Maybe even some futures.
Maybe so. Maybe so. We are going to be along with you all off season long with some content, and just keep on rolling on the back road with us because we appreciate it. Go do the damn survey now. Get it done. If you want to like the show more than you do now, I know you love us. I know we're perfect, but if you want to get us a little more perfect, go fill out that survey now. And thanks for watching this week. We'll see you again next time on the Backroad.